Glad to hear Capricorn rising. It is Cosmical 101 talking about your astrology for the first month of the calendar year 2025, January. Trust you're doing well. We're going to be taking you through the planetary transits and the aspects and the houses where these aspects are occurring for your rising sign. And we're also going to be talking about the lunations. It's going to be a pretty long video for transparency. So if you're not into deep, detailed astrological information connected to your rising sign, this video may not be for you, or this content. I appreciate that. But when we're talking about astrology, the first calendar month of the year is incredibly busy. So that's why I'm giving you a heads up. It's going to be a pretty long video. You're welcome, by the way. I've done all the heavy lifting for you. You get to kick back and listen. At your free will, of course. Okay, so I go from the Hellenistic lens when it comes to astrology. So I like the ancient history and methods and techniques when I'm talking about astrology. I just love the techniques that the ancients developed way back when. So that's the astrological fence I sit on in a very, very heavy way. Hellenistic astrology. Alrighty, so from the 1st to the 5th, there's a Pluto-Mars retrograde opposition. Now, we're all going through this on the planet, but this opposition's happening for you in your 2nd house and your 8th house. And this part of your natal chart, these two houses are about your money houses. The 2nd house is more the financial house that supports the self because it's right next to that 1st house, and you're a Capricorn rising, and that 2nd house supports you. And the 8th house is about other people's resources. It's like your partner's resources. I mean, it could be an intimate partner like your husband or wife, for example, or it could just be any partnership, a business partnership, for example, your stockbroker. But it's about other people's resources and how you're entangled in them and how they support you. And it also is connected to death, tax, inheritance, debt. So think of like you go to the bank and you get a mortgage. So it's other people's resources that support you. That's the 8th house. So this is where this opposition is happening between Pluto and Mars retrograde. And so in short, from the 1st to the 5th, the tension is simmering behind the scenes because the 2nd and 8th houses in your natal chart, Capricorn rising, are houses that are what ancient Hellenistic teachers explained as being inversion. So it's hard and difficult to see. It's like things that are going on in the background that are more subtle. So this subtle opposition is going on. So this is about financial dynamics between you and other people simmering in your subconscious between the 1st and the 5th of January. On the 2nd, we've got Venus going into Pisces, and Venus is exalted in the zodiac sign of Pisces. In short, she's on high. She's revered. It's like the queen coming back from battle or a very long trip, and the people can't wait to hear her stories and all of her experiences. That's the way to, look at a planet that's exalted. And so when you've got a planet stepping into an exaltation zodiac sign, it's a big deal for all of us. And for you, Capricorn rising, Venus going into Pisces in your 3rd house, where you're going to have almost a lot more fun and things are more excitable, is happening in your 3rd house. And this is to do with short distance travel, education, learning, siblings, cousins, modes of transport, technology, and communication. And you've also got your ruling planet Saturn and Neptune also in Pisces as well. So now Venus is joining the Pisces 3rd house party, if you will, but she's really kicking it up, having a great time. So for you, when Venus steps into your 3rd house on the 2nd of January, Capricorn rising, there's fun going on in your immediate environment. So it's like really connecting with the peeps that are familiar to you, habitual to you, possibly having indulgent moments in regards to travel, short distance traveling, or you could be spending a lot more on your day to day. um, routines. So could be going out, short distance traveling anywhere, but you stop and could potentially go into an art gallery and purchase a piece of art, or you go and spend a little bit more money than you would in your immediate environment, and you're sort of enjoying it. So that's not a bad thing. But because Venus is exalted, she can be over the top. So siblings, cousins, short distance travel, education, communication can be a little bit exacerbated as well. And especially now that you've got that stellium happening in your third house, things are really stirring up the third house topics. So this is what you're heavily engaged in, Capricorn rising, from the 2nd of January, is communication in all ways, shapes and forms, and lots of short distance travel, lots of banter. So it's quite fun, really. On the 6th, we've got Mercury squaring off with Neptune. Mercury, the planet of logic, squaring off with the planet of fantasy. So this square on the 6th of January is Mercury is currently positioned in Sagittarius. It's in detriment, so Mercury doesn't like being in Sagittarius in your 12th house, Capricorn rising, squaring off with Neptune in Pisces with Saturn and Venus in your 3rd house. And so this looks like on the 6th of January that you're trying to be really practical about things that you do behind closed doors in isolation and solitudes. And this could be education, teaching, learning. But because there's a square with Neptune in Pisces in your 3rd house, it's like, your cousins or your immediate environment is really, calling you out from behind closed doors. And there's a bit of a tension there. So if you have to say firm names because you have to do some work behind closed doors, this could be the day where it could be hard for you to deliver the news. Don't do a Houdini act on people that, are expecting you at a social event. Let them know what's going on. But there could be like oh, God, I can't believe I committed. I said yes. So it might be difficult to get out of a social commitment on the 6th of January. The same day, Mars goes retrograde in Cancer. And this is in your 7th house of other people again. So you can say, yeah, for Capricorn rising, there's a lot of entanglement or activity going on with other people. So when Mars retrogrades back into Cancer in your 7th house of relationships, contracts, agreements, it's also the house of rest and endings. Mars retrograding here, and it's opposing your 1st house as a Capricorn rising. So this is about, tying up loose ends with people. So you could be emotionally really seeing important relationships in your life, struggling with ending things or tying things up. So people might need you a little bit more. You could find that your relationship's a little bit more needy. So, you do you navigate that to your best ability, Capricorn rising. Your ruling planet Saturn's in your 3rd house, trining the 7th house. So it might be easier for you to, let people cry on your shoulder and be a support system for them. But I just think some significant relationships in your life are possibly going through difficult times, and they may need your help, Capricorn rising. They may need your help with Mars retrograding back in Cancer. And because Mars is retrograde back in Cancer, then Pluto from the 6th to the 11th of January is opposing Mars retrograde in Cancer. Even though Pluto's in Aquarius in your 2nd house, they're still having that opposition. So again, an opposition between Pluto, Mars retrograde is, I think you'd be coming from the tough love angle with relationships, contracts and endings that people are going through, Capricorn rising. I think you might be really good at distancing yourself, supporting them when you can or when you feel is necessary, but not completely emotionally entangled in what they're going through. So I think healthy balance is the key from the 6th to the 11th. People are going through what they're going through. It's hard to witness. It's hard to support them, but ultimately it's their stuff. And I think you might also be aware that, some of these relationships or even contracts that you're connected with, Capricorn rising, do support you in some way, shape or form. But it just feels like a bit of a tough love angle you're coming from the 6th to the 11th of January when Pluto opposes Mars retrograde in your 7th house of Cancer. Now, moving on to the 8th of January, we have Mercury ingressing into your first house of Capricorn. The dignity of Mercury increases significantly. It's been in detriment in Sagittarius for months. It's been in retrograde. It's been all banged up in your 12th house. And now when Mercury gets into your first house of Capricorn, we've got a happier planet. Mercury couldn't be happier. And through Hellenistic practices and techniques, Mercury was in his joy in the first house. So for you, Capricorn rising, you have your head straight. You know, your eyes on the prize when it comes to what works for you physically, mentally, your identity, and what doesn't. You'll be really good at going, you know, what do I need to have a deeper look at when it comes to my physical health, my appearance? What do I need to change, if anything at all? Mercury in the first house is really going to help you steer your ship a lot more organically, if you will, with Mercury being in its joy in the first house. So a really nice transit with Mercury and Capricorn in your first house on the 8th of January. Enjoy that. Then we got on the 13th of January a full moon in Cancer, and that's your 7th house opposing you. So Mercury and the Sun in your first house of Capricorn are opposing that full moon in Cancer in your 7th house, where Mars is retrograde. So the 13th of January could be tough for you to witness people going through some pretty emotional endings, so big purges with contracts, relationships, or ending relationships, or ending a contract or an agreement. So it could be a bittersweet day that you're witnessing or actually going through with other, entangled with other people on the 13th of January. So deep breaths, whatever you are wrapping up with a nice red bow in regards to a relationship, a partnership, a contract, or a significant relationship or partnership is going through an ending. You're going to be witnessing this quite clearly with Mercury and the Sun in your first house. So you'll be going more from a intellectual lens in regarding this ending that's happening on the 13th of January. From the 14th to the 15th, we've got Venus, which is currently in your third house with Saturn and Neptune, of Pisces, is squaring off with Jupiter, retrograde in Gemini. And Jupiter's been retrograding in Gemini in your 6th house. So it's interesting because these two planets, Venus and Jupiter, these planets of the solar system are benefics. So they're good doers. They're about uniting, and they're quite optimistic in their own respect. But when they're squaring off, what you have here, this is like a difference of opinion regarding education, work, health and services, things that are going on in your immediate environment. So this could be like your car breaking down, your computer, you know, you drop your phone in the water. Could be a sibling or cousin having a really tough time with their health as well. So this could be a, you know, look before you leap days, 14th to the 15th of January. Don't rush is the astrological advice, and don't overindulge. Get yourself all entwined in a service or a co-worker's dramas, if you will. Sort of, you know, play it very cool if you can from the 14th to the 15th of January. Could be a very heightened day. But because Venus and Jupiter retrograde are in a square, it looks like you could get yourself all wrapped up into something you don't need to. So healthy distance again is recommended astrologically from the 14th to the 15th of January. From the 15th to the 16th of January, Venus is conjuncting Saturn in your third house, and this is your ruling planet that rules you, your identity, your physical body, your sense of self. So when Venus lines up with Saturn from the 15th to the 16th, these 2 days is about making a pretty firm decision of being in or out when it comes to a committing to either education, um, changing up something in your environment, short distance travel, or a sibling or cousin has an abrupt beginning or ending. But you Capricorn rising, could be experiencing something quite sobering on this day as well. So it looks like a sobering, mature decision that you're making on this day regarding your environment, things that are habitual to you. Could be committing to something educational as well. Or you could be simply taking on a car loan, for example. But the 15th to the 16th, a Saturn Venus conjunction is mature decisions about self-worth and self-value, what you find merit in connecting with in your immediate environment. So interesting days from the 15th to the 16th when Venus conjuncts your ruling planet, Saturn. We also have the Sun in Capricorn in your first house opposing Mars retrograde in Cancer in your seventh house. So even though we've got a Venus-Saturn conjunction, we've also got the Sun opposing Mars retrograde. It sounds like, if I take an eagle-eye perspective astrologically at your chart, Capricorn rising, the decision that you're making with the Venus conjuncting Saturn in your third house has a knock-on effect with your identity, your sense of self, playing out with a relationship, contract, or an agreement, or ending something, or someone that's entangled with you in a relationship is going to be in some way, shape, or form connected to this new beginning or ending in your third house, in your immediate environment as well. And I just think whatever decision you're making about something that's quite clear and affirmative when it comes to your identity, like, this is what I need to do, take on this contract. It's like a partnership or a relationship might be a little bit, oh, really? Are you really going to do that? Are you really going to commit to that? So this could be like a bit of pushback. So could be potentially tricky days to navigate with trying to please everyone else, while ultimately you need to do what's good for you. So even though you're the captain of your own ship, especially with that Sun and Mercury in your first house, which is super helpful, it just seems like there might be some pushback, or people aren't completely all happy with Capricorn risings. But you know what? You've got to do what's good for you. So take affirmative action as you see fit, but know the terrain, know the logistics before you anchor into anything solid. That may be why a relationship or partnership could be against what you're starting or ending, because they may have a different perspective, or can see that maybe you're getting into something undesirable, or too contractual, or too long term. It is Saturn Venus conjuncting. But again, you've got to do what's good for you. So just, know the terrain before you anchor into anything solid. Know the logistics moving forward. Okay, those days sound fun, don't they? Okay. On the 19th, we've got that Sun then ingressing into Aquarius for 4 weeks, and this is your second house of finance. Now, the Sun traditionally through Hellenistic teachings is in detriment in the second house, and in Aquarius, excuse me. So in short, the Sun is a Leo zodiac sign, but it's all the way over across the other side of the solar system in Aquarius, in the constellation of Aquarius, and it's not really content. So this is about a transit for the Sun for 4 weeks in your second house, trying to do its very best, if you will, to assist you in seeing the ideal position of your skill set, what you need to learn that supports you, understanding your assets, your possessions, your financial position, So you might have a less than desirable realization of the practical parts of your life regarding your finances. And it could be difficult for these 4 weeks to look at such subjects or purge assets or possessions. That could be difficult to let go of assets or possessions as well that support you, or even people. So yeah, not the best of transits coming up with the sun in Aquarius in detriment in his second house. It's nothing you can't handle, Capricorn rising. I feel for you. You could just feel a little bit lackluster when it comes to looking at the data detail and analytics of your financial position, and especially connected to your assets and possessions and what actually supports you. Do you have what you need that supports you? This is something you could be contemplating with this transit. From the 21st to the 22nd, we've got that sun conjuncting Pluto, because once that sun moves into Aquarius, it's going to line up with Pluto. And a sun-Pluto conjunction sets off a new synodic cycle. So the sun, not happy in Aquarius connecting with Pluto, is, from my astrological perspective, Capricorn rising, a healthy dose of reality and establishing more financial autonomy for yourself, seeing things for how they really are. So you're not really getting blown around by illusion regarding things that support you and your financial position. So I don't think that's a bad thing. I just think it might be a bit of a sobering, mature moment with the sun conjuncting Pluto in your second house from the 21st to the 22nd. The same day, we've got Uranus retrograding in Taurus, sextiling Mars retrograding in Cancer. So this days as well, from the 21st to the 22nd, when the sun's conjuncting Pluto, Uranus retrograde and Mars retrograde are having a nice conversation. So this nice conversation is about intimate relationships, your creative pursuits, entrepreneurial pursuits, children if applicable. These subjects are easier to navigate or talk about, and it has a connection with relationships, agreements, and partnerships as well. So children could be, if applicable to you, Capricorn rising, or the subject of children, if you don't have them, is easier to discuss with a partner, or a child could find it easier to, tell you, hey, look, I've decided to marry the love of my life, for example, or a project, an entrepreneurial project that you are working on. You could connect with someone and create a contract between them and start a new work project with somebody as well. An intimate relationship might also, really, if you're in an intimate relationship, it could be easier for you to let go of it if you want to get out of a relationship as well, or an intimate relationship has their moment in the spotlight and says, hey, I've got a contract. I mean, there's a plethora of things that could occur on this day with Mars Uranus connecting in a sextile. But because they're both retrograde, whatever happens or whatever occurs, this has been developing for a long time behind the scenes, because Uranus has been in Taurus since 2018. Mars has been retrograde in Cancer and been transiting in Cancer in direct motion since last year in 2024. So whatever's easier regarding these subjects between the 7th house and the 5th house, this isn't a new, easier, flowier moment or decisions that are going on with children, entrepreneurial pursuit, relationships, agreements, contracts, and endings. So nothing new here going on. It's just easier for things to line up. So that's quite good. 23rd to the 24th, Mercury, which is in your first house, lovely placement for Mercury in the first house, is opposing Mars retrograde in Cancer. So again, this is relationships, contracts, endings. It could be really having your intellectual intelligence hat on these 2 days about getting intertwined in contracts, agreements, or negotiations, or watching relationships getting intertwined with agreements, contracts, and negotiations. So this is, again, differences of opinion. People, really not agreeing here. Mars and Mercury, no one's in agreement here. And it's an emotional Mars in Cancer. So I think, again, for you, Capricorn rising, this is about being more coming from a tough love angle regarding, certain ways that you want to pursue contracts, agreements, and relationships might be different to how they view things. So tricky days from the 23rd to the 24th. And then Mercury is also in your first house, lining up nicely with Mars retrograde in Taurus in your fifth house of children, romantic connections, projects, entrepreneurial pursuits. So yeah, if you're getting pushback from other people, they're not happy for you, and you're going, look, I know what I'm doing. I've got my shit together. I don't really need your opinion. And it's simply because you could find some merit in connecting with someone in a new relationship or a creative entrepreneurial endeavor. So again, you do what's good for you. You just might be getting some pushback. People might not all be on board with what your ideas are. And for in some way, shape or form, there's emotions all tied up in this. So there could be a lot of, feet stamping going on. So yeah, tricky days to navigate from the 23rd to the 24th. 25th to the 26th, Venus is sextiling retrograde Uranus. So this looks good for going ahead with a teaching or educational pursuit, starting something in a new environment, calling a new place home. Also could be something really nice and simple as you get a new car that brings you a lot of joy and pleasure. Or a sibling or cousin could be having a little win and you're helping them celebrate it on these days from the 25th to the 26th. But a really nice day. Really nice days, 25th to the 26th, when Venus lines up with Uranus retrograde. Because Venus is the planet that is the ruler of the zodiac sign of Taurus. And we've got an exalted Venus in Pisces. And so this is like a little bit of a mutual reception going on here. And that quite simply means Venus and Uranus understand how easy it is to enjoy pleasure pursuits with short distance travel, a new environment, education, teaching, purchasing a new car, doing something entrepreneurial, or even hooking up with a relationship that you've been distant from some time, for example, or a child is having an easier time. Like, they get their license, for example, something nice like that. But easy, flowy days from the 25th to the 26th of January. Okay. Now we're getting to the end of the month. It's a long video, right? As you can hear astrologically, there's a lot going on with the planetary aspects. They're very active. So on the 29th, Mercury in your first is, Mercury is conjuncting Pluto in your second house now, because Mercury is now moved into Aquarius on the 29th of January. And so a Mercury-Pluto conjunction is starting off a new cycle. So this is, thinking outside of the box, how to liberate yourself financially, or using the internet as a fantastic tool to create a podcast or do courses that support you. Doing things a little bit different than what other people are doing. So you could be breaking new communication terrain. You could be the first innovator or creator of a new way of communicating about anything that you're involved with that supports you. So your body, your image. So you could be going, oh, I'm the first to create a new diet, for example, that's going to change the world. Or I've worked out a herbal remedy that's really going to help everybody, something like that. But something nice, because it's Mercury conjuncting Pluto in your second house, of things that support you and also connected to your assets, valuables, and finances. Mercury also connected to finance, marketplace, and commerce. So things look good, like you're about to start a new cycle that's going to build some money for yourself that supports you. So really nice. But out of the box creations and thinking, something new is brewing for you. Capricorn rising, which is really nice. And on this, and then the same day, we've got a new moon in your second house. So you got the sun, the moon, Mercury, and Pluto all together having a party in your second house of things that support you: assets, possessions, finances. So yeah, new beginnings in building some wealth that gives you a sense of freedom, liberating you from old ways of doing things. That changes up your identity and who you are. So you could be breaking new terrain here, really showing people what you got, which is really nice. Capricorn rising, go for it. On the 30th, we've got Uranus going direct in Taurus in your 5th house. So Uranus, like I said, it's been in Taurus since 2018. And Uranus is a planet that's odd, abrupt, acute, swift. It's ultimately about liberation and freedom, but it does things in a very peculiar way. And sometimes it's very shocking and very out of the blue, unpredictable to a degree, is planet Uranus. And in your 5th house of joy, intimate relationships, sex, children, entrepreneurial pursuits, creative pursuits, your hobbies. You've developed a certain muscle, if you will, for rolling with the punches when it comes to those subjects in your house of joy and pleasure. So, things are hot, things are cold. Partnerships are going through ups and downs, children, your creative pursuits, your hobbies. There's been massive, massive changes since 2018. So when Uranus goes direct on the 30th, it's not as if Uranus is going to stop being Uranus. Like dog doesn't stop being dog because the planet's changing direction. It's still going to be a dog. So Uranus is still going to be odd, peculiar, unpredictable, liberating, freedom-oriented, acute, strange, unpredictable. But moving forward from the 30th, connected to those subjects of joy and pleasure, children, creative pursuits, entrepreneurial pursuits, and romance and sex, it's just that you've developed this muscle and this familiarity with just rolling with those punches. So, you didn't want children, all of a sudden you're going to have children. You didn't really want to date 5 people. Now you've decided to date one. You didn't think you were going to be doing an online podcast, but you are. You didn't think that you would. You didn't think you were going to be doing your own side business, your side hustle, but you're going to. And then it goes belly up, and you're like, oh, okay, well, I'm not doing that anymore. It's not as if things that happen moving forward with Uranus going direct that are going to overwhelm you as much if you're having acute changes with these subjects. You're going to be okay with just rolling with it. So that's not bad at all. Then the last 2 days of January 2025, these last 2 days are beautiful. I mean, really, it's like the planets give us a bit of you can have some chill days now, guys. Okay, so from the 30th to the 31st, the sun in Aquarius in his second house, and we know that the sun is in detriment, it's not very happy, is trining. So having a really nice conversation with Jupiter retrograde in Gemini in his 6th house of work, health, services, and labour. So this is landing a contract, co-workers, and you're like, if I work better with the co-workers or my workmates, things could be easier. So if you're good at playing it cool, you might go, you know what, I need to listen up. These guys aren't so bad. Let's roll our sleeves up and get a job done. Getting back to the gym and really, getting self-discipline with the body is easier as well. And it supports you, that second house. So it might be hard to get into a physical routine or change a physical routine up, but you're ready. So this is good, especially anything to do with health and services. So if you need to pitch a product, this is a great 2 days to do it, for example. Announce it to the world or the public, hey, this is my new product or this is my new herbal remedy, to cure whatever ailment. Beautiful time to do that as well. Land a really good contract that supports you. This looks nice. And you also have Venus in Pisces conjuncting Neptune in Pisces in that 3rd house on the same 2 days. So you got an exalted Venus, all loved up and juiced up and living life with communication, short distance travel, education, modes of transport, technology, communication, everything's great or been going great or over the top. When it conjuncts Neptune as well on the same days as the Sun Jupiter trine, it's like, everything's coming up roses and life couldn't be easier for me day. That's, we'll take it. Capricorn rising, won't we? We'll take it. But when Venus conjuncts Neptune, the planet of fantasy, Neptune, and then you've got Venus, the planet of unity, it's like oh my gosh, I can't believe I got this teaching role, or I can't believe that I found this course. I finally found my dream course, or I finally found my dream car, and it's going to help me get to work every day. Or just think of things in your immediate environment that are habitual to you on high and making you feel a little bit extra amazing. You find a dream hairdresser or something. It just looks beautiful with Venus conjuncting Neptune on the same day as a Sun Jupiter trine. So enjoy the last 2 days of January, Capricorn risings. Thanks for tuning in, Capricorn rising. That's your astrology for the first month of January 2025. Sounds like a lot. Yeah, well, it is a lot. You've got this. We all do. Overall, if I can wrap this up with a nice red bow, I just think that this is about self-confidence and self-awareness, what works for you, especially environments that you surround yourself in proactively, the people you surround yourself with, and your relationships. Like, they're going to be integral ultimately in your path forward, or the path forward that you're trying to establish for yourself, especially when it comes to your environment, education, short distance traveling, teaching. It's like you're certainly got your eye on the prize, and other people may need to come on board or may need to be let go at the same time if they're not all in with you or supportive of you. And potentially, again, just relationships that you're intertwined with could be going through a difficult time as well. So yeah, patience. I mean, as I'm saying, you don't have patience, but you've also got to be aware that what you're trying to do for yourself is important, as is relationships as well. So conversations and clear communication is advised astrologically with these transits in the first month of January 2025. Okay, so thank you for your support throughout 2024. If you're a subscriber and a regular visitor here at Cosmic Girl 101 YouTube channel, I do appreciate your ongoing support. And if you do like astrological information and my style of delivering the astrology, go ahead and subscribe if you haven't done already. Hit the like button and also hit the bell notification to keep updated with the latest astrological videos that I upload on the Cosmic Girl 101 YouTube channel. All right, I'm going to leave it there, Capricorn rising. Have yourself a fabulous January. Feel free to leave any comments in the comment section below, and I'll connect with you next time. Stay cosmic.